Hello and welcome to Teens and Youth Corner with KC Eze. Today on this episode, we are going to be addressing the issue of how to meet the now needs of young people. Let's get right into it. Young people, as we know, have several needs that if not met by you as their handler, they are going to find solutions to those needs through peer-to-peer means or through social media, the internet, company and all of that. But the good news is that their needs can be met. A fact that most people find it hard to believe is that young people want to be helped. If they trust you, if they come to believe in you, they are going to open up themselves for you to influence them. Now, young people have several needs, ranging from the need to belong, to the need to be accepted, to the need to be affirmed, okay, and to various other needs, spiritual needs, emotional needs, and all whatnot. And if you present yourself as the trusted or trustable person that they desire to have in their lives, they're going to open up to you. Now, the question now is, how do we meet the now needs of young people? The now needs of young people refer to their needs in the now. They might have issues with their esteem, they might have issues with their sexuality, they might have issues with their emotions, they might have issues with their spirituality. There's a whole lot of issues young people are facing, but per time there are issues that they are currently facing. The question is, how do we know what those issues are in order to address it head on and immediately? I'm going to give you two ways to address those issues, and these are two mind-blowing ways. There could be others. We might add some others in the course of this teaching, but let's start with two. Number one way you can address the issues of young people in the now is by giving them the opportunity to ask questions. Give them the opportunity to ask questions. Now, this is not just the generic asking of questions, because a lot of people who handle young people, they want to do the talking much more than the young people they are talking to. They feel like the young people do not know as much as they ought to know, so they ought to shut up and listen to them. But the reverse should be the case. You should speak less and listen more to these young people. When you make a habit of listening more to them, hearing from them, not only are you going to learn a lot of things about their lifestyle, their generation, their phase, and their current needs, you are also going to be able to meet those needs, and they are going to be thankful to you for it. What do I mean? For instance, when you let them ask questions, they are not going to ask you questions about what they are going to face in 20 years from now. Many of them are not that futuristic yet. Okay, they are going to ask you questions based on what they are facing currently. So if you have such space in your ministry, in your organization, to for them to ask their questions, the questions you're going to be getting from them are questions concerning things that are bothering them in the now, and then you're providing answers to those questions will be you meeting those needs in their lives in the now. One of the things we do in our ministry is that we open up question and answer sessions once every month. We were doing it quarterly, or even further apart away from quarterly, but we observed some things and we decided to make it a monthly stuff. Now, this doesn't stop them from asking us questions after every service, or asking us questions during the week on social media and all of that, but we made it in a more formal program that once every month we open up question and answers to these young people. It's amazing the kind of questions these young people ask, and that tells you the kind of things running through their mind. These are principle creating, values deciding questions that if you answer them rightly, you are going to have them on the right path. And if there's nobody to answer those questions for them, they are going to be on their way to the wrong path, or on the wrong path already. So I'm opening up your services, your ministry, your organization, your programs to question and answers from these young people is a helpful way to meet the now needs of young people. And even as parents, there should be that atmosphere in the house, in the home, in the family, where your children, your kids, your teenagers, your young adults, your young people are able to ask you questions, it's not the one they will ask and you shut them down. One of the things you must know about young people is that they're going to come to you once, and if they are very generous, they're going to come to you twice. If you don't answer their questions convincingly, they're going to stop coming to you. Now, they are not interested in you knowing all the answers. They are interested in you being real with them. I've been in a couple of situations where they asked a question and I said, I don't know the answer. I will get back to you. Okay? I don't form an all-knowing God with them. And they see an element of humanity and not just one supernatural being in me. There are cases and there are situations where every of their questions, I have an answer to it. And even in answering those questions, you don't pose as the all-knowing God. You make room for your humanity. It makes them see you as real. It makes them see you as, a human being that they can relate with, somebody with emotions, somebody with understanding. In fact, sometimes I like to make references to when I didn't know the answers to these questions, how I felt, what I did, how I went about it, but now I know the answer and this is the answer. It makes them also relate to the fact that you were once like them and they are not an odd man out. They are not abnormal. They are not, different in a very bad way. That's what you're communicating to them when you are trying to show them that you don't know everything. Okay? And even if you know the answers to everything, there's a way to present the truth to them. Now, one other thing I will say, and then I move on to the next thing, is that if you want to be able to meet the now needs of young people through answering their questions, you must be a well-knowledgeable person. We are currently having an experience in our ministry where when we started with the young people we have currently, all right, most of their questions were tilted towards relationship. Emotional questions, relationship questions, and in fact, majorly relationship questions. Fast forward to being with us a few years later, they still ask relationship questions, but majority of the questions we have now are spiritual questions because of what we've been feeding them over time. Spiritual, they still have relationship questions, they ask them, we answer it, all right, but they ask spiritual questions as well. Now, this brings me to what I have to say in this context. Young people want to know a lot of things about the supernatural, a lot of things about God. I put it out on social media some time ago, and I'm just going to say it here for emphasis sake. You cannot effectively minister to the needs, especially the spiritual needs of young people, and by extension, their all-round needs, if you are not grounded in the knowledge of the Bible. You have to be grounded in it. There are books on that. Get well read, get well knowledgeable on Bible subjects. Trust me, if questions are not coming your way already in that direction, not too long from now, you are going to be encountering it. And it's not something you shy away from. Growing up as young people, we would ask questions about certain things, and I could remember the way our teachers would shut them down because their questions seemed to be anti-Christianity. Meanwhile, what these young people simply wanted was to get an answer to this question. Convince me why I should own the answers to these questions so that when I understand it, I will run with it without hesitation. That's what their questions actually suggest. I'm giving you an opportunity to convince me. I'm giving you an opportunity to help me buy into the answers you have concerning this subject matter. They bring up issues concerning homosexuality. How do you address it? They bring up issues concerning, ministry. How do you address it? They bring up issues concerning doctrines like salvation. Okay, once saved, forever saved. What's your response to that? Do you have an answer to that scripturally? You should get grounded and you should be able to answer these questions for young people, because when you convincingly answer them and they understand that this is the truth that you are telling them, leave the rest. They are going to grab it, they are going to run with it. So the first way to meet the now needs of young people is by opening up channels for questions and then giving them answers that meets their need. The second way that you are going to be able to meet the now needs of young people is by what I called inspired utterance. Inspired utterance. Of these two, this is my favorite. All right. Now, while question and answers is important, gives you a very direct, targeted opportunity to meet specific needs as they are asking the questions, inspired utterance goes beyond what they think they need to what they don't even know they need. That's why as a teens minister, as a youth minister, okay, you don't just look around to choose what to preach about. You go to God, you download a message from God, you come and you share it with your congregation. Let me share an experience I had with you. In February, we had Love Conference. Love Conference is a conference we do every year in the month of February. Of course, you know, with the whole Valentine rave and all of that with young people. So every February, we have what we call Love Conference. And this year's conference, it was laid in my heart to share something very unconventional. All right. Something as unconventional as dealing with marital phobias. Now, imagine talking to teenagers and young adults about dealing with marital phobias. It seemed like I didn't know what I was saying. Like, they didn't tell me, it didn't make sense to them at that time. I felt by myself that this thing is above, their knowledge level. This was me feeling it, but I've learned to always follow the leadership of the Spirit, and there's no negotiation about it. So I prepared the teaching, delivered the teaching in the course of the conference every Sunday in the month of February. And to my amazement, I started getting responses in what we call our safe space, our weekly meetings with teenagers in different locations. I would go there, I would ask them, how did the teaching or how has the teaching this month been blessing you? And then it started opening up. You realize that most of these people come from broken homes. They come from homes where they've seen so much bad examples from uncles, aunties, daddy, mommy, that it has marked them negatively as touching marriage. Some of them are even making up their mind that, after all, marriage is not by force. All I need to do is just to have chains of boyfriends and chains of girlfriends. My sexual needs are met. I don't need to commit to this thing called marriage, because if what I'm seeing with my parents' marriage or my aunties or my uncle's marriage or the sexual traumas they've been through is what they're expecting to get in this thing, then it's not worth it. So apparently, teaching by inspiration of the Holy Ghost addressed needs I didn't even know existed in their lives. So you want to meet the now needs of teenagers, plug into the Holy Ghost. Plug into divine inspiration. How do you do that? Prayers. All right? Prayers. You pray a whole lot. Teens ministry and youth ministry is not something we do accidentally. It's something you must do intentionally if you want to impact the lives of young people. It must be intentionally done, not accidentally done. This is what noting down. Youth ministry must be done intentionally, not accidentally. You don't just wake up, it's time for meeting. What do I teach? What do I teach? And then you flip, and then you think, no. Is that what the Holy Ghost is leading you to teach? Because if that's not what He's leading you to teach, then you are just going there to talk. This is the secret, not just behind youth ministry impact, but every kind of ministry impact you can think of. We are messengers. We are sent by someone. So what we need to do is to get the message crystal clear, and then we deliver it to the audience we are sent to deliver it to. That's why if you have a ministry that is full of inspired utterance, young people will keep coming. Because as a matter of fact and as a matter of rule in our generation, people go to where their needs are met. And we have such a powerful arsenal in our bags, all right, called the Holy Ghost, divine inspiration, that we cannot afford to do it on our own. I wonder how people want to do ministry on their own. Come on, that's stressful. You don't need to stress that way. If you give yourself to spiritual growth, you give yourself to praying for your teenagers, praying for your youth, you will download from God what their now needs are. Let me say a little bit of something else concerning this divine inspiration. One thing about divine inspiration, when you download it, is that when you are dishing it out to the people, it has a way of meeting needs across board. Everyone who is going to come into your meeting, who is going to come into your club, will most likely not have the same need. But when you are speaking by divine inspiration, you'll be addressing what Michael came with, as well as addressing what Abigail came with, addressing what Solomon came with, addressing what Ada came with, addressing what everybody, in one way or the other, they are going to feel blessed by that one inspirational message. All right. So you want to meet the now needs of young people? Open up yourself and your ministry to question and answers and plug in into divine inspiration for what God would have you tell them. These things will revolutionize your youth ministry. Try it out and you're going to be so thankful to God that you found this key. It's simple but yet very profound. Till I come your way next time, my name is Casey Eze and I'm going to be seeing you very soon. Have a wonderful rest of the day. God bless you. Bye.